Hey everyone, it's Debbie again. I just wanted to share 3 layouts and 6 cards that I made with 4 sheets of the Graphic 45 Secret Garden papers. And I started out with this layout, and this one actually had the Secret Garden paper, and I fussy cut around the picket fence that had the flowers and then came down around the side, and then I fussy cut those 3 roses. That's popped up on 2 layers of foam tape, and that's just on 1. Whoops. And the ones at the top corners are also on 1 thickness of foam tape. And what I did in the background, if you can see, I had a piece of chipboard that was like a brick or a cobblestone look, and I had punched the pieces out of it, and I used the outline on another layout. But on this one, I just laid the little pieces where I wanted them and then sprayed it with Delusion's, I believe it's called Melted Chocolate. Melted Chocolate. And then I took some texture paste and mixed it with some peach acrylic paint, and I used the mini Art Is stencil, and I stenciled the text around the edges and at the top on the layout. And then the flowers, all of the flowers except a couple on here are from Manor House. And see if I can get this to stand again. These are all Manor House flowers here. And the angel was cut from Kaiser Craft Sweet Nothings collection, Falling for You. So I cut the angel out, and then I cut the title with my Cricut in red and then put green stickles on it. Those are Manor House flowers, and I had a birdcage die cut that was in cardstock that I added. And then I dangled a piece of chain with a leaf and a little flower there. And I crocheted this little pink flower and put a pearl center in it. And then this one I just made with loose pieces of, they were petals I had torn off of a silk flower, and I just put them together and put a rhinestone in the center, and then those were Manor House flowers, and these. So everything on this one that was from the paper line, I just fussy cut them out and then put them on foam tape to make them stick up on the page to give it some dimension. And we'll go to the next layout. The next one, excuse me, this is the next one. Hold it. Okay, this one also uses Manor House flowers, all except this flower and these leaves were silk flowers that I had, and then this one up here was made with tulle and organza that I had sprayed with several different colors of spray to get that rose color that I wanted, sort of a burgundy rose color. And then I made that stick pin with a love charm and this stick pin with a music note. And then as you can see, this is the layout where I used the background from the cobblestones behind all the flowers. This is a beaded rose that I made. The title is Thickers that I've painted with brown paint. I added a piece of brown lace ribbon, and I added a white doily at the corner of the photo there, and another one here. And that was the second layout. And then the third layout On the back of this green pattern paper that came in the pattern pack were all of these journaling blocks, and they just seemed to me like they would be perfect as photo mats, because when you look at that paper and you look at the journaling cards, they have the pattern on the edges of the card, and then it had a little square in it. So the design went around here, and then it had a little square, and you had your journaling here. And it just seemed perfect to me to put photos on it. It made a beautiful frame for the photos. So I used a Spellbinders die to cut the frames, and then I cut around the photos of my grandkids and put them on cardstock, and then glued them onto the frame, and then the frame is pop dotted up. I used another Spellbinders die for this label, Megan Elizabeth scallop circle for the frame around my grandson. Then I had some butterflies that were die cuts in chipboard, and then I had leftover chipboard flourishes. This one had a flower on it, and one here. And because all of the elements in the background were rectangular, and this one I cut a piece out of the blue background paper, just cut around it to make it a scallop, and then I put vintage photo around the edges, but I wanted it to have a circle. So I used the flourish to start the circle, and then I tied raffia around and took it up around the top to make a circle around the whole photo, and then I placed my labels. So the background, I used 2 pieces of the paper, and then and I don't use the whole paper. I cut a center out of it so that I can save the inside piece, and then I just put cardstock behind it so that I can save the pattern paper so I can do other things with it. And in the background on this one, I used the Crafters Workshop. See, it was a flower, I think it was called Flower Power stencil, and I put that, it was a 12 by 12, I put it in the background and then sprayed it with Glimmer Mist in a green. And so that's that one. And then I decided that I had enough leftover papers that I wanted to make some cards. And so the first card, this was the first card that I made. So I used white cardstock, blue cardstock, and then a piece of the patterned paper. And then using my Spellbinders Radiant Rectangles, I cut this part of it out of white and then this one out of blue. So it gave you the circle with the filigree on it. And then I put it in a Cuttlebug chicken wire embossing folder and just embossed the bottom half. And then this was the center out of that set of dies, and I used that in the center. And the Happy Birthday was a free stamp that I got with my Simply Cards magazine. So that's one card. And the second card that I made was this one. And this one I took 2 pieces of the pattern paper, the green and then the floral, and I sewed them together with a decorative stitch on my sewing machine. And then I took another piece, a strip of the paper, the brown paper, and I used my decorative edge scissors to cut the edge of that. And then I did another strip of paper and used my Spellbinders on the edge die. I put a piece of eyelet trim behind it. This was a stamp from one of my, let's see, that one was Urban Stamps, and it was a ticket stamp, and I stamped it on the blue background paper and then cut around it. And then this was Heartfelt Creations stamp and die set, striped Fleur, and I love this one. I use this flower all the time, and I just put rhinestones in the center, and that was that card. And then I decided I would make some Mother's Day cards. The first one was just cutting out the remainder of the picket fence and the flowers that surrounded it. And then I just cut some loose flowers because my lamp post came down, but it didn't come to the end of the card like I wanted. So I wanted to cover the end of the lamp post. And that lamp post was a file from Ebates. And so I put on crackle stickles, not stickles, glossy accents, but I think it's called crackle accents, and just made it really distressed looking. And then I used my Vintage Photo Distress ink. And then this was a die, a Sizzix die that I had that was a little tag, and I put a love charm on it, and I printed Happy Mother's Day on my computer and then cut it out in a banner shape and put Vintage Photo around that. So that was one of them. And all the other three were similar to each other. Because I didn't have enough paper to make them all the same, they're basically the same design. I just used scraps of the paper so I could make the cards. So this one was just a scrap that I used, and I used on the edge die to cut the border. And then this piece I fussy cut out of the green paper and then glued them together so I could have that decorative edge. And this was a Megan Elizabeth scallop circle punch or die, and I cut that out. That's a half of a tag. That's another Sizzix label and a love charm. So there were three of these that were very similar, and then of course that one. So I ended up with 6 cards and 3 layouts, and I basically only had 4 sheets of the pattern paper to work with, so I was really happy with how it came out. So just wanted to share. Thank you.